This is Simon, and I've got a little bit of crazy science experimenting going on here. Now this bunch here is my bunch of pedals which I'm using to design circuits with, and it's based around the progenitor, which is a valve gain stage. It's just a single 12x7 gain stage, only one half of the tube, same in this one, and you've got kind of infinite parameters, so you can vary the B plus voltage, you can vary the plate resistor, the cathode cap bypass cap, you can change the bias, the input Z, yada yada. And you can, these test points are for testing the voltage, so that whatever settings you choose when you like them, you can kind of measure the voltages and resistances and make notes of it. Then we've got like the peasant or the brute. They're just like single gain stages which are used to push these two gain stages. And the sculptor and sculptress are basically tone shapers, so they're just passive capacitor and resistor boxes. The sculptress is a variable tone stack. Treble, middle, bass. You can change the treble cap, 10 different values. You can change the slope resistor. You can change the mid cap and the bass cap, etc., etc. Basically, it'll do all sorts of different tone stacks in one box. So it's really kind of neat to put it after different valve gain stages and dial in different tones and see how different amps' tone stacks react. And especially, you can also change the order of these things. You know, like I've got it here, it's set up for an overdrive. Gain stage 1, gain stage 2, coupling cap value, gain stage 3, and EQ. Basically the same setup as you get in the tube driver. So here's my 335. Maybe I need to turn it on first. Alright, here's my 335. And here's the tube driver. No, not that one, this one. And if I turn that off and hit this, then we get this bunch here. Tube driver. Kind of chewy. Now, what I've done here is I've got the sculptress, the tone stack, tweaked to basically be very, very similar to the tone stack in the tube driver. A couple of interesting things. It doesn't respond exactly the same because there's differences in the circuit, obviously. But if I change that mid cap there, now these caps and values are basically the same as in here. Kind of warm and fuzzy. And if you change the mid cap to a smaller value, instead of a 0.047, which is a typical Fender value, change it to a 0.022, and it brings out the mids more, doesn't roll off as much high end out of the bass control, so the bass kind of moves up into the low mids more. Which is really nice for some articulation. Now, the first progenitor, I've got like a plate resistor of 220k for those who care. And the second one, I've selected a value of, I think, 82k. So different responses. The 82k gives this stage more headroom for some more dynamic range. And and the biases are set relatively warm on both of them, different cathode bypass caps selected. I'm pushing it with the peasant. If I turn that off, now we've just got 2 gain stages. You could barely get any breakup at all. If I decrease this series resistance here, it'll drive this a bit harder. But basically it becomes very, very low gain. You can tweak it to sound really good like that, because essentially a page has 2 gain stages, so we could make it sound similar to that. But for now, I'll turn the brute on. This is a solid state, it's a jfet boost that I built, and it gives it a bit of attitude and punch and drive. It sounds like this. Once again, go back to the tube driver on the neck pickup. You can get some nice mids on this, I find, if you turn the highs right off. So back to this bunch, and maybe we'll just increase the drive level a bit here and here. Now I've got these stages running high voltage. They're probably around 300 volts each of them. They can go up to about 375 volts on the B+ when you want it to. You can lower that and get more compression, right, and less headroom. Anyway, this setup's been a lot of fun, and all of this basically goes in one box, in one pedal. This just allows me to do it, do things separately and fine-tune things. I can change the order. I could go like progenitor, then the sculptress, and then another progenitor, and create a really nice Fender Blackface preamp, for example. All sorts of stuff you can do here. Of course, if you're making solid state stuff, you don't really need to do this, because you can use breadboard and just make breadboard versions of your circuits. But with tube stuff, it's running at high voltage. It's kind of more awkward, so it's kind of nice to do it this way, I find. Yeah, so there's a little taste, and I really look forward to seeing you guys soon.